Look here. So now we pour a cup of that revolution into these cocktails. Toast to the winners and survivors. Your boy Rex. Marsh, what up? Prologic, what up? This revolution brewing in me, sipping my cup of Henny, watching the hustlers hustle, anything for a penny. I know they struggle plenty. Uncle Glenny, tell me seek the Lord's grace. All praise due to the Most High. The 4 plates, 4 days, 4 states.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another podcast at Deaf Nation Radio. I'm your host Johnny B, coming from LA. And yeah, let's get right into it. First, real quick, I just want to let you guys know, if you hear a buzzing in the background, that's actually my Mac charger. My other ones are broken, and the one I have right now has this weird buzz too. I've tried to fix it, but I don't know. Something's wrong with it. At least it keeps my Mac charged, though. It works. That's what matters. Actually, recently I had to get my Mac battery, like the actual battery in it, fixed. I didn't even know those things could break, but apparently they can. And yeah, I had to go get it fixed. And being in South LA, there's not too many Apple stores around here, but had to go to the Grove, for anyone who's familiar with the LA area, kind of up towards Hollywood, and get it fixed there. And I was trying to save a few bucks actually when I went there. Uber gets kind of expensive, especially when I get out of class, and it's like that rush hour time, run you up to like $20. It's ridiculous, just for one trip, one way. It's not fun. Anyways, I was trying to save some money, so I went with my girlfriend, and we both went on the public transit, a little bus. Actually, a big bus. It was one of those really long-ass buses with kind of accordion thing in the middle that connects them. But yeah, it was so packed on there. I found her a seat, and I was just standing next to her, like in the aisleway, and the bus driver kept saying, "Hey, please sit down." And never singled me out, but I'm sure she was talking about me. But yeah, all I could think was like, no, I'm not gonna sit down. I'm not gonna go all the way in the back of the bus and leave my girlfriend up here alone. Honestly, like, if she wanted me to sit down, my response to her would have, if she would have asked me like directly, I would have just said like, you know what, change the culture, change the like attitude that these guys right now in this bus that they have towards women, and I'll go sit down, And yeah, like, I don't know, this kind of it's a personal subject right now. A lot of those guys in there were Mexican or Hispanic, and that's what I am, and first generation here, and I'm blessed to be here. But that's one thing I'm not too big of a fan of, is my racist culture, especially towards women. Really objectify them, really like to check them out, and it's like to each their own in a way, but at the same time show some respect. And I don't know, just it's weird today in the U.S. It's like people get offended by anything, especially like talking about a culture or criticizing a certain culture like that. Like, I'm sure people get freaked out that I just said that about Hispanics. But honestly, like, gone are those days where offense used to come in the form of like a fire hose or dogs attacking you, and here are the days of like being offended by words or drawings, chalk. God damn it, what the hell? I mean, obviously, there's people that can get like triggered or whatever by certain things, but it's like the majority of us. I don't know. This generation's a little soft. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, today it's like if you criticize any type of culture, a racial minority, pretty much. If you criticize them, even if it's for the betterment of them, it's like no, don't do that. It's like, come on. Sometimes we need it, and especially my own people, Latino, Hispanics, it seems like, in a way, it's included with blacks, it's like we're kind of mysticized in a way by America, where it's like, oh, you can't do anything wrong, you're perfect, you went through so much, you're oppressed, and you're not doing anything wrong. I see this kind of with like institutional racism. That's a big thing now. Claiming like minorities can't be racist because they don't have the power to do that, and I don't know. It's being a minority myself, a racial minority. I don't know. I don't really buy into that too much, because I feel like it comes down to respect on a personal level, and if there's a machine against you, then if you have enough people on your side, you can fight that. But on the person, that doesn't give you the right to just go around and start bashing people on the personal level. What's crazy about that actually is, ironically enough, Hispanics, especially Mexicans, my own people, we're pretty damn racist, and I think that gets overlooked. I mean, like, to ourselves. I mean, don't even gotta look far. Go to Mexico and you can see a huge disparity and like racism in a way towards class difference, I guess. The indigenous population, Native American, Native Mexican people down in Oaxaca, southern part of Mexico, how they get treated compared to like the Spanish heritage people, from Spain, like Mexico City, look how they get treated. And they're like how the attitudes are different towards each other. The whiter you are, it's like the nicer you are, the better you look. That's the attitude, and that's crazy because, I don't think people like to address that type of stuff that's going on in like other countries. But here, it's like, obviously, if that happens, it's bad. But it's like, if it's happening somewhere else, like in Mexico, it's like no one talks about it. Even in Honduras, where my girlfriend's mom is from. There's a lot of racism there actually, towards like the Afro-centric or Afro like race, people that are black. Just huge racism going down over there, and it's gets overlooked. Of course, it's not our country. It's not like what we're focused on right now. But what a lot of people like, a lot of white people like to do in America is fetishize or mysticize these like racial minorities, thinking they can't do anything wrong. So it's kind of ironic that we're not perfect. We're told we're like pretty much perfect, and we've been oppressed, and we deserve everything. But in a way, not too much. If we're fetishized, we pretty much get placed into this box where it's like we're expected to only do X things, especially when it comes to the voting in politics. So ironically enough, who's doing this boxing? Liberal Democrats, And why is this ironic? Well, it's because, every Latino Hispanic voter is automatically expected to side with Democrats. Hence, the Democratic Party believes, that it has this sizable voting block every time an election rolls around. They have something to rely on. And, in a way, it's true. If you're Latino, you might think, what's wrong with being catered to? What's wrong with having, like, this expectancy? Well, in a way, it kind of hinders you in different ways. Actually, I want to actually play this clip. It's Stephen A. Smith speaking to Michael Smerconish on CNN. This was a year before the actual general election, and this is what he has to say.
Stephen A. said that every black person in America should vote Republican for at least one election. Stephen A. Smith is joining me now. Stephen, who are you trying to send a message to? Republicans, Democrats, African Americans, all of the above?
I'd go with all of the above. That sounds about right, but specifically the Democratic Party, from the standpoint that I definitely believe that the black vote has been taken for granted. And primarily the black community is at fault, in my estimation, in that regard, simply because on one hand, we're giving one party our vote because they've successfully gone about the business of convincing our community that the other party, the Republican Party, is completely against the interest of the black community. And as a result, we've been very transparent in our support. We've boarded hook, line, and sinker. We look at the Republican Party. I'm not talking about every single one of us, of course, but vast majority of black Americans look at the Republican Party as the enemy. We look at the Democratic Party, even tacitly, as our support base, and as a result, we are very transparent in our support for them. So because of it, they have a license to take us for granted. The Republican Party has a license to summarily dismiss us because they believe they'll never get our vote anyway. And then we end up finding ourselves devoid of any kind of representation whatsoever because nobody is really competing to garner our vote and our support. So I said what I said because I wanted folks in my community to stand up and recognize that if you go to a house or you go buy a car or whatever the case may be, you don't just see something you want and say, I want that. Tell me what the price is and I'll pay for it. Somebody has to flatter you in order to garner your dollars and your support. I think the same should apply to politicians who represent us.
Let me put this in the context of 2016, because I think given the monolithic nature of the African American vote, a lot of Republicans don't even make the ask. Rand Paul is making the ask. Is there anything that he can say that you think can change this equation?
Well, first of all, he can highlight some of the inconsistencies and discrepancies the opposing party might be throwing in our direction, things that we may not know. That's number one. Number two, one of the things that you need to do as a Republican, particularly if you're running for the presidency, you have to surround yourself with a bunch of folks that look like us and not just you, that look like Hispanics and not just you.
Yeah, no, Stephen A. Smith, he was upset, with the eventual winner for the GOP. I don't think he voted for him. On his podcast, he said he was shocked that some guy, business tycoon type of man, could become the president. I think everyone was kind of shocked, but yeah. I think personally though, with what Stephen A. Smith was saying, I would still stand by that call to, vote GOP for one term, or, change up your voting for one term, if only, because what it does right now, that the way that Hispanics, Latinos, that we're stuck in this kind of expectancy to vote Democrat, to vote, blue, it limits you as like an American citizen, as a voter, and the way that that happens is that every party has their own platform. And who knows, certain things might not actually resonate with you that are on the party platform, but you're expected to vote for that party regardless. So that's something that's kind of crazy. I actually found this article, which is ridiculous, on Mic.com. And if any of you guys don't know what Mic.com is, it's like a millennial news site, right? That's a little farther left than BuzzFeed. So it's pretty out there. Pretty interesting stuff. A lot of stuff I don't agree with. But yeah, this article actually was by Gary Patterson. I got a link in the description below. He's a New York attorney. It was about student vouchers. That's a Republican position right now. Betsy DeVos and the White House administration. She's a big proponent of that. Of course, a lot of people attack her. But basically, with the school voucher program, you have people that want to privatize education in a way, and then other people that want to keep it public and in the teacher union's hands. And that's a pretty big debate itself. But what was interesting about Mic.com having this on their website was it was a pro school voucher program, school choice, some people call it. And it's like, even this site that's kind of way to the left, with people that are like pretty left, millennial, that's a new wave of leftism that's coming up now. But these people that are way to the left, they saw the benefits in this type of a program for racial minorities specifically. And here in LA, if anyone's familiar, they have the LAUSD Unified School District, and it is a fucking mess. I volunteered at some of these schools around here. One that I volunteered at, Norwood Elementary, it's a public school. It is packed in there, underfunded. It's basically a breeding ground for failure, and it's sad because it's like 99% Hispanic students, and it's like they don't get that much of a chance, and it's because LAUSD, it's huge. There's so many schools to incorporate, the funding, how it goes around. I actually interviewed one of the teachers there for a school project, and she told me that, basically there's this problem where, students they don't get the attention they need to succeed, and therefore they drop out early. She coupled that with the attitude of, the Hispanic family of having to prioritizing work over school. So if dropping out isn't the worst thing. And basically, if this school voucher program, not saying it would fix everything, but in a way, if it was in effect, it could help. It basically would allow parents to choose whether they want to send their kids to private school, charter school, religion school, usually private schools, religious schools, or home school or public school. Just give them the choice to be able to send their kids somewhere, because right now it's like the lottery system. You might not get in. It's difficult to get in certain areas, And, usually the private schools are good. There's a whole kind of debacle over charter schools. But, not everything is perfect, but at least this would give Hispanics, Latinos around LA more choice for their kids and, better opportunity. Right now, the university I'm going at, I look around and a lot of the faculty, it's white people, some black people, but you never really see any Hispanic faculty here. You see a lot of them, working on the actual campus grounds, as manual laborers, but you don't really see them as the professors, and not to bash them for working, that's what Hispanics are. We're hard workers, but I think we have this tendency to stop at a certain level where it's like, oh, it's enough. I've seen that with my own parents where, they've been offered certain promotions, and we do prioritize family over our own type of ambitions in a way, but it's not necessarily, or we at least tend to, but that doesn't necessarily, lead to the best outcome at times. But yeah, like basically with all that Mike.com stuff, it's like even they are willing to recognize this, pretty moderately far left, depending on how you see it, website will, say that, okay, well, this Republican position actually would help racial minorities, and I think that's something that we lose when we just automatically vote Democrat, automatically select the blue on the ballot. And it's like something like this, something as simple as this. Not saying it's perfect, not saying I'm like pro school choice in a way, it's something to look at, I think, but like obviously there's concerns with it that are legitimate. But something like this is completely overlooked. A Latino person, family member, the parents, they probably don't even know about this type of thing. They probably think, oh, my son, my daughter, they have to go to this school because it's the one that's close by, and I mean this election, it was a shocker to everyone, including myself. But, I think we kind of need to take a deep breath, especially, Hispanics, and not necessarily too fond of Trump, but I don't know. I think, personally, it's like I think we have other things we can worry about and put better time and energy towards. But yeah, like you see this type of election go down, and you think, how do you get here? how does this happen? And that kind of goes back to Stephen A. Smith, like everyone put their eggs in the basket of like the Democratic machine, and obviously it's like, Hillary was their choice since 2008, basically, or since December 2008 after Obama got in. They're like, all right, next in line, Miss Clinton. And it's like she has really no appeal, in all honesty, to Latinos. Oh my God, she put out this article. I mean, it was probably an intern or something, Paola Luisa or something. I have that link in this description if you want to check it out. It's still on her website. It's basically titled 7 Things Hillary Clinton Has in Common with Your Abuela. Okay, first of all, she doesn't speak Spanish, so it's like, shut up. I know it's not her writing this article, but it's still on there. It's meant to pander, of course. Some of these things are just weird. Like, she knows what's best. It's like, okay, only Latina grandmas can know that. She reads you before bedtime. Yeah. She likes to highlight accomplishments. It's kind of weird. She had one word for Donald Trump, and that's the meme of her saying, basta, enough. But yeah, what this does right here, and I know it's like, it's a simple article. I'm not going to blow this out of proportion. But what it shows is like, she's not necessarily appealing, to Latinos in a way, She's pandering to them, but she's not saying exactly what you're going to do. And I remember this article when it came out, or when it got posted on her website during the election cycle. All these like websites kind of like toted it around, like saying like, oh, check this out, all these like little kind of pro-Democrat left-wing websites put that out there, and it's like, okay, are we expected to just like that and consume that, and like that's good enough for us? It's like what Stephen A. Smith was saying in his video in that video I showed was, we don't just go and say, oh yeah, I'll vote for you just because I'm supposed to. No, earn that vote. And even with that article, the Hillary Clinton grandma, abuela article, it's like not every Latino person has that grandma figure in their life. For me, I only grew up with one grandma because my mom's mom passed away at an early age. And then my dad's mom, the grandma I grew up with, just a huge distance between us, and then also a language barrier. And I'm not too keen on the Spanish, but it's like I didn't have that personally. So it's like, in a way, these people that are supposed to be pro-racial minority, anti-racism, anti-prejudice, they're in a way stereotyping what a grandma would be in a Hispanic family. Not that that's the worst thing in the world, but it's ironic and kind of stupid on their end. In a way, you really need to think for yourself to experience that true liberty here in the U.S. and not trying to be some cheesy, conservative sounding guy, Fox News sounding guy. But in all honesty, like, we have to, as Latinos, as Hispanics, as racial minorities, blacks, Asians, you shouldn't be expected, or you shouldn't fulfill that role that you're expected to, because then they're no longer free. You're just kind of a little short of a slave, just fulfilling your role, doing what master wants you to do. Yeah, I mean, like, I saw this interesting statement on this conservative blog called American Thinker. And I know, of course, you got to be aware of the fake news nowadays. I just encourage you all, though, to search for different websites and opinions. Just check them out, opposing viewpoints. Don't necessarily get your news from a .net or whatever, but it's always interesting to check out different viewpoints, all the way from far left, far right, just to see what all of America is thinking. But this blog post, it mentioned the various ways in which the Democratic Party has, failed minorities. And there was a statement in there that I thought was interesting. It said, "No one would think of saying Bernie Sanders is not white because he doesn't agree with Republican policies. Yet we're told that Justice Clarence Thomas is an Uncle Tom or an Oreo because he believes in interpreting the Constitution as it was intended to be interpreted by those who wrote it." And of course, like, that interpretation, that strict interpretation, that's a pretty conservative position. But, like, think about that. It's like, we can all agree that whites themselves are ideologically diverse. Yet when it comes to minorities, we expect them, we expect ourselves pretty much to follow our marching orders, not have an original thought, not have an original opinion when it comes to politics, especially. We know what we're supposed to do, and that's it. This type of behavior, this type of attitude, this kind of brainwashing, it can lead to, it can be as petty as having some old hag, post articles about your abuela and try to appeal to you. Or, it can be as serious as, like, the children in your neighborhood failing out of public schools because they don't get the proper education, the proper time, and proper resources that they need to succeed. For everyone that's listening right now, especially my fellow Hispanics, I challenge you to think for yourself. It's a very politicized world we live in, this country, and, like, hopefully it's just the pendulum swinging radically before it settles down. But, if we had this type of discussion before the 2016 general election, during the primaries even, with all the other candidates in there, maybe we could have had a better Democratic candidate, and maybe we could have had one of the many different Republican candidates, if that would have been better. But I think this is something we have to consider, not just, whoever ends up being number one Democrat come, November, that's who we should vote for. I think we need to be more involved in politics, and we need to, have these people earn our vote. We can't just give it to them, because that's when that true liberty comes, that true freedom comes, and that's when we get people who actually represent us. But yeah, anyways, that's all I had to talk about today. Thank you guys for sticking through with me. As usual, you can contact me at thedeafnation@gmail.com. It's really just THE, but the sounds cooler. And I hope you guys have a great day. Peace.